just in the north garden at Madingley Hall, looking over to the croquet lawn, and then back up to the hall, and then into our topiary garden. These topiaries were brought from Histon Manor, which is about 8 miles away from Madingley, in the 1930s. I think they're possibly a representation of chess pieces, but we're not quite sure exactly what they are. There's a memorial to one of the pets, a dog called Niki, in the middle. We cut them once a year. And then this tree, which sits next to the topiary garden, is a yew tree. It's one of the oldest trees in the garden, we think. It's done some quite amazing things up in the branches. So you can just see some branches which have gone straight up and then have actually fused in places together. So we can't quite tell exactly how old it is, because the stem looks as though it's multi-stem, so two plants, possibly one plant split into two, that have then fused together. It's lovely and cool in the summer underneath here when the sun's shining, for a nice sit down. And also a look over our woodland border. So the smoke bush, the purple in the foreground here. Just have a walk through into the sunken garden, which is part of the 1980s design and built section of the walled garden at Madingley Hall. So in here we have plants which are mainly white flowered, with grey-green foliage. Just see Rosa Prosperity flowering away at the top there. Really pure white flowers. And then we've got Erigeron corventianus. And then we have Peony Blush Queen flowering. So we try and leave some of the self-set grasses and plants in the gravel, but remove a fair amount just to give you a sort of furry texture to the garden. And then Rosa Winchester Cathedral just in the foreground. There are some pinky flowers which are tolerated. These are mainly annuals and biennials like the foxglove. We try and remove them before the seed sets so that we reduce the amount of pink flowers and try and keep it as white as possible. But a few pink flowers is fairly pleasant just to break it up a little bit. So we're just splitting some clumps of iris. So these iris have been here for over 4 years. So every 3 to 4 years it's good to split your irises up. So strong rhizomes. This one is called Black Swan. So just removing the dead leaves of the iris. And then reducing the leaf of the iris so that it doesn't have to suck so much water out of the ground with the roots that have been removed. Just give it a soak before it's replanted. So now I'm going to create a little ridge to spread the roots out on to plant in this little gap here we have. So I just pull the soil back from one side and the soil back along this side. So here's the cutting. So there's the rhizome with the roots coming off of it, and I've cut away a lot of the leaf so to reduce the water loss. So I want the iris to grow away from this clump of other irises, so I'm going to face it in this direction. And just spread the roots out over the ridge that I created. So I want to keep the rhizome slightly out of the soil because they enjoy being baked. And then sprinkle soil onto the roots. Give it a little shake and then just put some soil up behind it. And then firming the soil around it. And water it in, and that should take off.